and we might maybe be moving to, well, what will be me and yourself's main event anyway. Dublin and Mayo, two sides who have a huge history really when it comes to the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship. And I'll just get the head-to-head record up here between Dublin and Mayo down the years, because it is some head-to-head record, as you'll see there. Mayo, interesting enough, have only beaten Dublin 3 times in the history of the championship: 2006, 2012, and of course 2 years ago in 2021. You look at the amount of Dublin wins in there, especially all the big games as well. The 2013 All-Ireland final, 2015 after a replay, 2016 final after a replay, 2017, 2019, 2020. Mayo eventually getting revenge in 2021. Like, I mean, where do you start when it comes to Dublin and Mayo? Because to be honest with you, there's so many facets to this game, and I've no idea which way this will go. Like, it's just going to be, I think this is going to be a bit of a mental game, to be honest with you.
Oh, it will be. And Dublin and Mayo don't do anything different. It's always crazy from one period, and you know the Mayo fans are going to bring it. Like, I think Mayo fans, yeah, that's true. First time that they're meeting in a quarterfinal. So that would be very interesting to see if this brings anything different. I think the Mayo fans match up so well with the Dublin fans as well. Like, you look at it, the Mayo fans are the ones that are brave enough to always take half the hill off Dublin, and it's always really interesting to see the noise, the colour, everything that comes to the stadium for these games. Like, I do think you have to throw in, I know it's harsh, but I do think you have to throw in the fact that it's not a final. I think Mayo lack some of the nerves that they have when it's a final, when it's not a final. Like, this is a quarter final. Go for it. And they will be seen as underdogs by a lot of, the people in the know, so-called. And like, Dublin are fancied by a lot of people based off, results that, like, they beat Louth by how much. Have you been that impressed with Dublin? Like,
no, not at all. And, like, to be honest, I'm actually very worried about Dublin going into this game, because
I think we're there for the taking. I really think we're there for the taking.
Yeah, like, when you look at Dublin's record against Division 1 teams this year, and we'll count Derry in that, since they've gone up to Division 1, they've 1 loss, 1 win, and a draw against Roscommon. Do you know that way? Like, and people, like, a lot of people are very praising Roscommon for that performance, and fair enough. I don't think Roscommon were even at their best that day. Like, they scored 1-9.
No, and then you look at what they went on to do. Nothing.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think Roscommon were that, like, they had missed a lot of chances. Like, they should have beat Dublin comfortably, in my opinion. Like, Dublin were so poor that day. So, like, it's so hard to know with Dublin, and it's so hard to know how Dublin will set up. Like, Dublin have been quite defensive at times this year. They've got a lot of men behind the ball. Will they set up like that against Mayo? Because that's what Mayo have struggled with at times this year. But at the same time, it invites Mayo onto us. And like I worry about Tommy Conroy running at that back line, and the amount of energy he'll bring. Ryan O'Donoghue and Croke Park, Cillian O'Connor possibly coming off the bench in the last 20 minutes when that Dublin defence is tiring. Like, I think Mayo have it there for the taking. They really do. Now, to be fair, Mayo's defence will have, they'll have their hands full against that Dublin attack, obviously, as well. But there's a lot of interest and permutations here. But what way do you think Dublin will set up? Because as we've seen at times this year, they have set up defensively, and they've got a lot of men behind the ball. And we've tried to, press up on kickouts and then set up defensively, kind of quite organised, 13, 14 men behind the ball. Or will we go toe-to-toe like we have often at times against Kildare? We did that in Kilkenny, and we did that against Louth at times as well. So it's hard to know with Dublin, but what way do you think they will set up?
I don't think they'll go man-to-man, because I think that suits Mayo. I think that they will have watched the game against Kerry and will have seen how Kerry going man-to-man against Mayo really allowed Mayo to play their running game. And I think they will be frightened of the likes of Tommy Conroy, Owen McLaughlin, the power and pace that they have coming through the middle. They won't want that. So I think Dublin will set up more defensive than they have in previous games to try and, be the Achilles heel that has been Mayo with defensive systems. I think they'll take a lot from the Cork game. I think they'll take a lot from the Roscommon game of how those teams set up to frustrate Mayo. And they'll try to do something similar. The thing that I'm interested in is who starts in the forwards for Dublin. Because Costello's been kind of the main man for Dublin this year. But then Conor O'Callaghan's been in good form. You've got Colin Baskell, who's looked awesome in some of these games now. Can he carry it into this game? Will they let him carry it into this game, or will they go back to Paul Mannion? Like Paddy Small was back in the team there. Like,
yeah,
this is what I'm talking about. Who do they actually go with? I don't like. Look, it's options, but at the same time, the fact that I can't tell you who's going to start in the forwards for Dublin actually is something that I'm a little bit concerned about, because then it's, well, okay, do we have the chemistry in the forwards then?
yeah. I think, yeah, it's interesting. All right, I think for a full forward line, I think you'd have to, in my opinion, go Con, Paul Mannion, Cormac Costello. I think they have been our three best forwards. Like Dean Rock hasn't always been in best form. Didn't obviously start the last day as well, or didn't start versus Kildare, I don't think. Been in now the side, hasn't always started. I think he'd be a good option to bring off the bench, maybe with 10, 15 minutes to go. I think Colin Basquel, you start him. He's in brilliant form. Has a bit of history with Mayo as well. I think his dad might be from Mayo, or might be from Mayo. So a bit of history there. He was often linked to it. Could he end up wearing a Mayo shirt at some point when he wasn't getting called up for Dublin? And then of course Kieran Kilkenny has to be in there, and I'll probably put between Sean Bugler and Brian Howard. Sean Bugler has been in great form as well, but you'd argue with Brian Howard, his physicality to sort of be an extra man in midfield and track back and offer a bit more defensively as well. He might be the man I'd probably go for in the half forward line if I had to choose someone.
Yeah, I can see Mannion not starting. I'm being honest. I can see Mannion not starting. I can see him going Basquel, Con, and Costello in the full forward line. Kilkenny, Bugler, and Howard half forwards. Lehif and Fent in midfield, or maybe James McCarthy. What's the story with Jack?
Yeah, well, he was back versus Sligo, wasn't he? And he was been kind of being kept in reserve. I think he'll. I don't know if he'll start.
I think he has to.
Yeah, for a game like this, he'd be so crucial, wouldn't he? Because if you think
so
about it,
important, because he could put Mayo on the back foot with his running.
Yeah, because like if Dublin are gonna be a bit more cautious and a bit more defensive, they're gonna need Jack McCaffrey, Owen Merchant, like those players breaking up the field with the ball are going to be so crucial, because it's going to be, counter attacks and turnovers are going to be so crucial in this game. And I think that's something that Dublin will need to be wary of. And obviously Owen Merchant, Jack McCaffrey, like those two will need to be in flying form and need to be playing as well. But I just worry if McCaffrey isn't fit, if he's not fit.
Lee Gannon, another one that can bomb up the pitch and keep them back there. I think it'll be so. I think this is fascinating. Who did Dublin put on Ryan O'Donoghue actually?
Yeah. Like I'd nearly put Owen Merchant on him, just because Owen Merchant be breaking down the other end. Will Ryan O'Donoghue track back? Do you know what I mean? Will he be a man to get?
I could maybe see Lee Gannon going on him. Potentially.
Maybe actually, yeah, because Lee Gannon's a good man, probably a better defender as well. To be fair,
I could see Lee going on him. Then who goes on James Carr? Who goes on Tommy Conroy? That's if he comes on. Mayo have threats. I can't lie, and Dublin don't have the defenders that they used to have. Like Michael Fitzsimons isn't what he used to be, in my opinion. Yeah. He's still a fantastic defender and has been genuinely. I think Michael Fitzsimons has been the most underrated defender I think I've ever seen. Like he's literally shut down anybody that he goes on. But yeah. We could really do with a peak Philly McMahon or a peak Michael Fitzsimons in this game. I think, will David Byrne go in? I think David Byrne will probably see him going into the other corner.
Yeah, most likely. Yeah, Mick Fitz will probably play as well. Although Darren Newcomb's been in there as well. Like there's a lot of like Aidan O'Shea. What do you?
Murphy.
Yeah, Aidan O'Shea is an interesting one as well, isn't it? Like because.
Yeah,
like Mick
Dublin don't have a big man to put on Aidan.
No.
I could maybe see David Byrne going on Aidan O'Shea.
Yeah.
And then Michael Fitzsimons going on James Carr and Lee Gannon going on Ryan O'Donoghue. Merchant going out in the half forward line, maybe picking up Jordan Flynn. Because Jordan Flynn moves around a lot.
Denise was saying here. I was even thinking John Small as well, because his
that's a matchup. That's a matchup.
It's physical, because Jordan Flynn's a big guy, and he's a huge ball carrier, and he'll keep probably running through that centre. And you feel like John Small would be he's definitely not, short of dishing out heavy hits and everything else. But like if someone had the physicality to pick up Aidan O'Shea, maybe John Small. But again, like you wouldn't put John Small.
He's going on Jordan Flynn. He's
Yeah.
going on Jordan Flynn. I can't wait to see that matchup.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of permutations to it, but like thinking about it as well, like because when you look at Dublin when they've played top teams this year, they have struggled defensively, and like we've seen Mayo, like Mayo will just run at that Dublin defence. And I think the opening 15-20 minutes will be key here, because Dublin against Sligo, let's not forget, opening 20 minutes, 3 points to 2 to Sligo. Opening 20 minutes versus Louth, it was level. And opening 20 minutes against Roscommon and Kildare, and probably the full 70, Dublin were poor. So like it's so crucial that Dublin get a good start here, because if Mayo starts strong and Dublin's confidence wanes and we don't click into gear like we haven't a lot of the time this year, Mayo could put us under a lot of pressure and Dublin could leave themselves with too much to do.
Yeah, I think it's vitally important that both teams make a good start, because I genuinely think, as well as the game being super close, and this might be a bit of a hot take, I genuinely still think that both teams have it within them to steamroll the other team. I think both teams have this bit of momentum where if they click, they can steamroll any team. Mayo have it, Dublin definitely have it. So I think they'll both be very cautious to stop that. I think the start of the game will be tense. I think both teams won't want to let the other one get off to a good start. And I think it will lead to a very even first half. This is hard to call. Very hard to call.
Yeah. But at the same time, because you look at Mayo's defence, and look, Mayo's defence has been excellent all year. You know,
the Mayo thing to do though, wouldn't it? To lose to Cork, nearly lose to Louth, and then beat Galway, Kerry, and Dublin.
Yeah, and still lose the final.
Still not win. Yeah, they do Tyrone a favour, do Kerry a favour, take everybody else out.
Lose to Armagh in the final.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I mean, like it'll definitely be a different test for that Mayo defence, who've done very strong. I think one player that needs to be in big form is Kieran Kilkenny. We haven't seen the best of him at times this year in big games, and I think he needs to be on it.
He'll get Paddy Durkin. He has got Paddy Durkin a lot. I think he'll get Durkin on him.
Yeah, and I think then midfield as well. Fenton in there, Tom Lahiff maybe, and
Fenton Ruan is some battle.
Ruan didn't start the last day though.
He's back in for this one. You can't tell me he's not going to play this game.
Yeah, Denise says controversial opinion to some, but I see Mayo win by 4. I see Colm Reap perform to his top standard. That's the thing. Both goalkeepers, Cluxton and Reap, have been excellent in terms of shot stopping at times this year as well.
And Reap has also got the freeze in his locker.
Yeah, he certainly does. So that'll be an interesting way to look at it. But ultimately then, what do you think? I mean, obviously, as Dublin fans, we're hoping for a Dublin win, and we obviously want to see Dublin win. But if we take our Dublin hats off, what do we actually think will happen?
Again, similar to all the other games that we've called, you could flip a coin. I think it could go either way. Roscommon, I think, have landed a blueprint to Mayo on how to annoy Dublin. But similarly, they've also landed a blueprint of how to beat Mayo. And I think Dublin will take that blueprint. I think Dublin will go more defensive in this game. They'll get more bodies behind the ball. I think Dublin will edge it out.
There we go. Raymond says here, are you going to go to both days? I will be. We'll be at both games. I don't know if we'll be at all 4 matches. I don't know if I'll stick around for Armagh Monaghan or I'll be there for Derry Cork. I'll definitely be there for some of Derry Cork. But yeah, John says, lads, is Con Callaghan fit? I believe he is. I haven't heard otherwise anyway. He was playing the last day, so I'd say he probably will be. John says, Dublin v Mayo, so difficult to call as neither have been convincing, but as a dub, I'm edging it over Dublin. Yeah, like, I to be honest, I fancy Mayo, and I know like that's not maybe what other Dublin fans want to hear, but I think I have to be honest. And I did say, like, in my All-Ireland predictions at the start of the year, like I had Dublin and Mayo, and you had a feeling they'd play each other, and I said if they played each other that Mayo would edge it. And I don't know if I've seen enough from Dublin in the championship to suggest that they have enough to be able to get past a team like Mayo, who I do think will be there or thereabouts. And I think the Aidan O'Shea scenario. Do we have someone who can stop him? I'm not entirely sure that we do. Tommy Conroy's runs, I think, is like him running at that Dublin defence worries me. O'Donoghue, if he clicks into the form, Jordan Flynn's physicality. I think we have more than enough to beat Mayo in terms of our forward line, but I think Mayo have looked very strong defensively as well. And I think that's the concern, that if Mayo starts strong, Dublin might struggle. And I think I've seen too many sort of edgy Dublin performances where they've been flaky and not looked at their best. Now, what I would say is if Dublin win this game, I think then we can go and win the All-Ireland. I think this is the real test, because when you look at how the semi-final draw will open up, it could very well be Dublin Kerry with there being no repeat pairings. We'll see what happens. But I'd fancy Dublin then, but I think Mayo ever so slightly. Mayo by 2, I think, is what I'll go with.
Yeah, I mean, could go either way. That's the honest truth.
Yeah, and Denise says here, Cillian O'Connor off the bench will be crucial. And that's the thing as well. Like, Mayo have a good amount of options coming off the bench. Cillian O'Connor, I know Kevin McLaughlin didn't look great the last day, but yeah, like, you know, you've obviously got Jack Carney maybe coming on. So many options. Dublin have options as well. In fairness, Dean Rock, you know, to come on.
Yeah, we haven't talked about who picks up Con, who picks up Cormac Costello, who picks up. Do you know what I mean? For Mayo on the other end, is David McBrien able to take Conor O'Callaghan?
Like, I think you do. I think you do. Yeah, because of the form he's in. You know, Sam Callanan maybe on a Costello.
Callanan did a good job on Shane Walsh against Galway.
He did. Yeah. Yeah. No, there's
Really
some interesting permutations or matchups. All right.
Yeah, like, just again, I think we'll watch this game back and be like, you know, we're gonna get some of them wrong. Like, you know, we're gonna get some of them wrong.
But there'll be curveballs thrown in here. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Cillian O'Connor starts. Mayo.
So my final 4 is Derry, Tyrone, Dublin, and Armagh, and your final 4 is Monaghan, Tyrone, Mayo, and Cork.